I appreciate the opportunity to be here today to discuss how to improve care for the nearly 400,000 children that are living in the foster care system as we speak.
Reality TV star Paris Hilton called for greater federal oversight of youth care programs at a U.S. House of Representatives committee hearing on Wednesday as she described her traumatic experience in youth care facilities.
In my case, many staff enjoyed abusing the children because they knew they could get away with it. They would take kids to rooms without cameras, beat them up, and physically and sexually abuse them. There's a lot of sexual abuse that happens. I just heard a situation right now where a 12-year-old foster youth is pregnant because she was sexually abused by staff.
Hilton, 43, the great-granddaughter of Hilton Hotels founder Conrad Hilton, has spoken publicly about the emotional and physical abuse she endured when she was placed in residential youth treatment facilities as a teen.
I attended facilities with foster and adopted youth, and I heard their testimony that they feel like they were forgotten, being shipped from facility to facility their whole childhoods. Today, residential facilities are continuing to warehouse over 50,000 foster youth and unknown number of adopted youth in lockdown facilities. Innocent kids who have not committed crimes, kids whose parents didn't have resources to support them, kids whose parents passed away, kids who have already experienced trauma. This $23 billion a year industry sees this population as dollar signs and operates without meaningful oversight. What I experienced in these places was inhumane, and it's something that will affect me for the rest of my life. And after speaking to thousands of survivors who have been through the same experiences, I think it's just important to listen to survivors because we have the lived experience. And I just want to say, again, I'm so grateful to be sitting here in front of all of you who could help make a difference in so many children's lives.
In remarks to the committee on Wednesday, she described being taken from her bed in the middle of the night at age 16 and transported across state lines to a residential facility where she experienced physical and sexual abuse.
I was only sent there because I was getting bad grades. I was just ditching classes. I have ADHD, and that was something that they weren't really talking about back then. So somebody recommended that I go to these schools. My parents had no idea. They just thought it was going to be a normal boarding school. And when I got there was no therapy. We would just constantly be torn down, abused, screamed at, yelled at. No education whatsoever. I learned nothing there except trauma. Well, for me, all of my outside contact was completely controlled, and they would always have a staff member sitting right next to me. So if I said even one negative thing about the facility, they immediately would hang up the phone, and then I would be punished and either physically beaten or thrown into solitary confinement, and then they would take away my phone privileges and not let me speak to my parents. So they had no idea what was happening because they were continually being lied and manipulated by the staff that were trained to do that. And there were other children in there, there were foster children, and they had nobody to call, no one to talk to. So all of the kids in these places, they're not able to speak to their families without someone sitting right next to them. So it's really difficult to be able to tell anyone what's happening in the outside world. When I was 16 years old, I was ripped from my bed in the middle of the night and transported across state lines to the first of 4 youth residential treatment facilities. These programs promised healing, growth, and support, but instead did not allow me to speak, move freely, or even look out a window for 2 years. I was force-fed medications and sexually abused by the staff. I was violently restrained and dragged down hallways, stripped naked, and thrown into solitary confinement. My parents were completely deceived, lied to, and manipulated by this for-profit industry about the inhumane treatment I was experiencing.
Hilton first described her experience at a Utah facility, which she said has left her with post-traumatic stress disorder that she continues to suffer from in 2021, and has been a vocal advocate for greater oversight of the system.
Locking kids in facilities is harmful, and from my own experience, has caused me severe post-traumatic stress disorder and trauma that I'll have for the rest of my life. For children who do end up in foster care, we cannot allow them to grow up in facilities. The treatment these kids have had to endure is criminal. These kids deserve to grow up in safe, family-centered environments. I will not stop until America's youth is safe.
With that, the committee stands adjourned.